I was elbow-deep in bridal magazines when Tessa's call came through. Her face filled my iPad screen, her smile brighter than I'd seen in years. "Mom, we found the venue!" Her voice bubbled with excitement as she angled her phone to show a stone chapel with arched windows and ivy climbing the walls. "Isn't it perfect?" "Absolutely stunning, sweetheart." I pushed aside a stack of venue printouts I'd been collecting since her engagement 3 months ago. "When can we tour it?" Alan appeared behind me, setting a mug of coffee at my elbow. His reading glasses perched on his nose as he leaned in to see the screen. "Hey, Tessa. That looks like something out of a movie." "The Lakeside Chapel has an opening in October," Tessa continued, barely acknowledging Alan's presence. "But we need to put down a deposit by Friday to lock it in." "I'd love to cover the costs, sweetheart. It's your special day." The words tumbled out easily. Despite our complicated history, I'd been saving for this moment since she was small. "Just send me the details and I'll transfer the deposit tomorrow." "Thanks, Mom. You're the best." Tessa tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, a gesture so familiar it made my heart ache with love. She'd done that since she was 6, whenever she was about to ask for something more. Alan moved to the stove, stirring a pot of his famous chili, the kitchen filled with the warm scent of cumin and tomatoes, a perfect counterpoint to the January chill outside our Spokane home. "I was thinking," I said, pulling my wedding planning notebook closer, "we should coordinate Alan's tux with your colors. The navy blue ties you mentioned would look." "Mom," Tessa's voice dropped several degrees, "Alan won't be attending." My hand froze mid-page turn. "What?" "This day is about my real parents," Tessa said, her tone matter-of-fact. "Me, you, and Dad." The wooden spoon in Alan's hand stopped moving. His back stiffened, but he didn't turn around. "Your father hasn't been in your life for 19 years, Tessa." My voice came out steadier than I felt. "He's still my dad." Her chin lifted slightly. "He's flying in from Australia, especially for this." My mind flashed to Alan carrying Tessa's limp body to the car when she'd had alcohol poisoning at 16, his face gray with worry, fingers checking her pulse at every stoplight. I remembered him sitting outside the rehab center, every single visiting day for 3 months, sometimes with a book, sometimes just staring at nothing, waiting. While Derek sent nothing but a perfunctory text. "Sorry to hear she's struggling. Keep me posted." "Tessa," I said carefully, "Alan has been there for you since you were 13. He helped you move into your college dorm when you relapsed sophomore year. He co-signed your first apartment lease." She sighed, the kind that said I was being difficult. "I don't want to explain who he is to people. It's complicated." Alan placed a lid on the pot with deliberate care and walked out of the kitchen. His footsteps retreated down the hallway, followed by the soft click of his office door. "Derek will walk me down the aisle," Tessa announced, as if conferring a great honor. "Ryan's already met him. They get along great." My hand trembled as I opened the wedding budget spreadsheet on my laptop. The number at the bottom, $38,000, swam before my eyes. "So you've been in touch with Derek?" I managed to ask. "For how long?" "A few months," Tessa waved dismissively. "He wanted to be involved with the wedding planning, but with the time difference, it's been easier for me to handle things with you." How generous of him, I thought bitterly. "Can you send the venue deposit tomorrow?" Tessa's attention had already shifted. "They need $3,000 to hold the date." I stared at my daughter's face, searching for some recognition of what she was doing, the casual cruelty of it. But her expression remained expectant, impatient even, as if I were holding up an otherwise smooth transaction. "Mom, the deposit?" "I'll take care of it," I said finally, because what else could I say? This was Tessa, my daughter, the baby I'd raised alone after Derek decided fatherhood was too confining. "Thanks. Gotta run meeting the florist in 20. Love you." The screen went black before I could respond. I sat motionless at the kitchen table, surrounded by bridal magazines featuring smiling mothers and daughters choosing bouquets together. The happy families. The normal ones. The door to Alan's office remained closed. From behind it came no sound at all. 2 days later, morning light spilled through the kitchen blinds as I scrolled through Tessa's Instagram feed. My coffee grew cold beside me, forgotten in the shock of what filled my screen. There she was, me daughter, arms wrapped around Derek's shoulders. His salt and pepper hair looked artfully tousled, his smile broad as he gazed at the camera. The caption twisted like a knife. So happy Dad could visit before the wedding. Blessed with the best dad. I scrolled further, each swipe of my finger revealing another piece of this fabricated history. Derek and Tessa at a wine bar. Derek and Tessa with Ryan. Derek's arm draped casually across my daughter's shoulders, as if those shoulders hadn't shaken with sobs when he missed her high school graduation. Always been there for my little girl, read his comment beneath a sunset photo. Nothing makes me prouder. The mug slipped from my fingers, clattering against the table without breaking. 19 years of absence rewritten in a dozen glossy photos. Alan set a fresh cup of tea before me, his presence so quiet I hadn't heard him enter. The gentle press of his hand on my shoulder asked questions he wouldn't voice aloud. Derek's been in contact with her for months, I said, my voice hollow in the quiet kitchen. He's playing Father of the Year. Alan's eyes flicked to the screen, then away. I'm sorry. Look at this. I tilted the screen toward him. He's telling people he helped pay for her college. Her college, Alan. The one we remortgaged the house for when she lost her scholarship. Alan pulled out a chair, the legs scraping against tile. What matters is that she got through it. What matters is the truth. My phone chimed with a new email. The wedding itinerary, sent from Tessa's wedding planner. I opened it with trembling fingers. There, prominently displayed at the top. Father of the bride, Derek Walsh. No mention of me walking her down the aisle. No mention of Alan at all. Just Derek, the man who had sent birthday cards that arrived 3 weeks late, if at all. The doorbell rang, startling us both. That'll be Ryan's mother, I said, smoothing my shirt as I stood. She wanted to drop off some family photos for the reception slideshow. Alan squeezed my hand. I'll make myself scarce. 2 hours later, Catherine Walsh was a whirlwind of perfume and energy as she bustled into our living room, a leather photo album clutched to her chest. Monica, isn't this wedding planning just wonderful? She settled onto our sofa, patting the cushion beside her. Ryan says Tessa's father is flying all the way from Australia. How marvelous that he's so involved. I perched beside her, my smile fixed in place. Involved, yes. Tessa mentioned he helped put her through college. Catherine's voice dropped to a confiding whisper. After the divorce, so admirable of him to stay connected despite the distance. The family photos in Catherine's album blurred before me. All those Christmases, birthdays, graduations with the Walshes smiling in unbroken family circles while I stood alone behind the camera documenting Tessa's life, while Alan sat in hospital waiting rooms. While Derek sent occasional texts from beaches half a world away. Actually, I began, then stopped. What would I say? That my daughter was lying? That the charming father of the bride was a fiction? My phone buzzed with a text from my sister, Laura. Just saw Tessa's posts with Derek. What's going on? Thought he hadn't been around since she was 6. The walls seemed to close in. Not just me then. Others noticed the revisionist history too. Are you all right, dear? Catherine touched my arm. You've gone quite pale. Just wedding jitters, I managed. So much to coordinate. After Catherine left, I sat in the silent living room, staring at the wedding budget spreadsheet still open on my laptop. $38,000 to finance a ceremony where my role had been reduced to checkbook and spectator. Alan appeared in the doorway, his reading glasses perched on his nose, a small notebook in his hand. Our household accounts. We should talk about the money, he said quietly. I've already promised it. My voice sounded flat even to my own ears. It's your decision. He sat in the armchair across from me. But if you're writing the checks, you deserve respect. An email notification slid onto my screen, from Tessa's old college roommate, Jen. Hey, Mrs. E. Saw Tessa's engagement pics. Just wanted to say I remember how you and Alan drove through that snowstorm to bring her home when she relapsed sophomore year. Some of us haven't forgotten who was really there. Something broke and mended simultaneously within my chest. This isn't about the money, I whispered, closing the laptop. It's about erasing what happened. Erasing you. Erasing us. Alan removed his glasses, rubbing the bridge of his nose. What do you want to do? I looked at our living room walls, covered with family photos. Tessa and me in her first apartment, paintbrushes in hand. Tessa and Alan at her college graduation, his arm around her shoulders as she clutched her hard-won diploma. The truth, documented and displayed. I'm going to attend that wedding alone, I said, the decision crystallizing as I spoke it aloud, with dignity. And afterward, I'm going to make sure she faces what really happened. Alan nodded, his eyes solemn but warm, one step at a time. First step, I said, reaching for my phone, is collecting evidence of the truth. Outside our window, winter rain began to fall, washing the world in shades of gray. At the rehearsal dinner swirls around me in a blur of voices and laughter. I sit alone at table 11, not table 1 where family belongs. My carefully chosen forest green, dress the color Tessa once said brought out the gold flecks in my eyes, feels like armor now. Across the room, Derek holds court with wedding guests, his Australian accent more pronounced than I remember. Time has been kind to him, silver threading his dark hair, laugh lines framing the same blue eyes that once convinced me he'd never leave. And then I taught her to ride her first bike, he says, his voice carrying. Remember that, Tessie? You were so determined not to use training wheels. I grip my water glass tighter. It was Alan who taught her, in our driveway in Spokane. Alan who ran alongside her for hours, his hand steady on the seat until she found her balance. Alan who has the scar on his elbow from diving to catch her before she hit the concrete. The wedding planner, a blonde woman with an iPad and a headset, bustles past me toward Derek and his new wife, Victoria. Mr. Walsh, when would you prefer to give your toast? Before or after dinner? Not once has she asked me if I'd like to speak. Not once has she acknowledged my role beyond mother of the bride, table 11. I watch as Tessa introduces Derek to Ryan's college friends. My father flew all the way from Australia. Her voice brims with pride as if his presence represents some great sacrifice rather than belated interest. When she introduces me moments later, I'm simply, my mom. 2 words. No explanation of who raised her, who sat through parent-teacher conferences alone, who worked extra projects to afford her dance lessons, who held her hair back during alcohol withdrawals. The flowers look beautiful, I say when Tessa briefly sits beside me. I've learned to offer safe topics, neutral ground. Derek hired the florist his company uses for corporate events, she replies, eyes scanning the room for someone more important. He knows everyone in Sydney. The words sting like paper cut small but surprisingly painful. Before I can respond, she's gone, whisked away to the bridal party table where Derek's wife Victoria has saved her a seat. Victoria with her perfect blowout and designer dress, playing mother after 17 years of complete absence. I overhear snippets as servers pour wine. We've set aside some funds for a down payment on a house, Derek announces to Ryan's parents. A little wedding gift. My cheeks burn. The $38,000 I've spent on this wedding money, saved from years of careful budgeting, extra design jobs, and postponed home repairs, apparently counts for nothing. Your mother seems quiet. I turn to find Ryan's sister, Katie, sliding into the empty chair beside me. Her dark hair is pulled back in a simple ponytail, her expression curious rather than judgmental. Just taking it all in, I reply, straightening the silverware in front of me. She studies me for a moment. Something doesn't add up here. Ryan told me your husband Alan, right? Practically raised Tessa. A lump forms in my throat. He did. Then why isn't he here? And why is everyone acting like... She gestures toward Derek, now showing wedding guests' photos on his phone. Family is complicated, I say, the rehearsed answer feeling hollow. Yeah, but the truth isn't. She gives me a gentle smile before rejoining her parents. The photographer moves through the room, capturing candid moments. He pauses near our table, camera lowering slightly as Tessa calls out from across the room. We need family photos. Dad, Victoria, come here with Ryan's parents. I remain seated, invisible. The photographer's eyes meet mine briefly, confusion evident in his glance. My phone vibrates with a text. Alan. Remember who you are. Remember what's true. The simple message steadies me like a hand at my back. I breathe deeply, tuck the phone away, and rise from my chair. The bathroom is mercifully empty 5 minutes later. I stand before the mirror, reapplying lipstick when the door swings open and Tessa enters. For a moment, she looks startled to find me there, as if I'm an unexpected guest rather than her mother. The earrings look beautiful on you, I say, nodding to the pearl drops I'd given her earlier, my grandmother's, worn at my own wedding. Thanks. She fidgets with them, avoiding my eyes. The awkward silence stretches between us. Tessa. I cap my lipstick, turning to face her fully. Why is it easier to embrace the father who left than the one who stayed? Her eyes widen, then narrow. Mom, not now. If not now, when? Tomorrow you'll be married, and we'll have never spoken honestly about this. She checks under the stall doors, ensuring we're alone. What do you want me to say? That I should pretend Alan is my real dad? I want you to acknowledge who was actually there for you. My voice remains steady, though my hands tremble. Why is Derek suddenly the father of the year? Because Derek doesn't remind me of who I was. The words burst from her like water through a cracked dam. Alan saw me at my worst. The drinking, the rehab, all of it. She tugs at her earring nervously. Derek just sees who I am now. Understanding washes over me, cool and clarifying. So you're erasing the hard parts, creating a picture-perfect family for Ryan. Is that so wrong? Her voice cracks slightly. To want something normal for once. The people who love us through our worst deserve to celebrate our best, Tessa. That's what family really means. The door swings open as 2 bridesmaids enter, laughing. Tessa straightens, her vulnerability vanishing behind a practiced smile. There you are, one calls. We're doing shots before dinner. Come on. Tessa glances back at me once, something unreadable in her expression, before allowing herself to be pulled away. I wait until they've gone before I leave, moving through the restaurant toward the exit. The cool evening air feels like a blessing against my flushed skin. In my car after the event, I open the glove compartment and remove a small leather album. Inside are photos I've collected over the years, Alan helping Tessa move into her dorm, Alan building bookshelves for her first apartment, Alan sitting beside her hospital bed after her relapse sophomore year. Tomorrow I'll attend the wedding alone, wearing the sage dress we picked together last month. I'll smile for photos if asked. I'll dance with cousins and old friends. I'll wish the young couple well. But tonight, I allow myself to feel the weight of what's been stolen, not just my rightful place in the ceremony, but the truth of our family story. I start the car, the small album secure on the passenger seat beside me. Some truths can't remain buried forever. Some stories refuse to be rewritten, no matter how convenient the lie. On the wedding day tomorrow, the stone chapel stands like something from a fairy tale, its ivy-covered walls framing arched windows that catch the October sunlight. I smooth the silk of my sage green dress chosen to complement Tessa's colors without drawing attention, and check my makeup one final time in the rearview mirror. The woman staring back looks composed, dignified. Only I know how fragile that composure truly is. I slip into the back of the chapel alone, nodding politely to the usher who seems uncertain where to seat me. His eyes scan the printed chart in his hands. Family of the bride, he whispers. Yes. The word feels like a victory, however small. He hesitates, then gestures toward a row near the middle knot, the front row reserved for immediate family, but not banished to the back either. A compromise. The string quartet begins the processional as I slide into the pew. Heads turn as Derek appears at the entrance with Tessa on his arm, her lace gown cascading behind her like flowing water. My throat tightens. She looks breathtaking. Tessa beams up at Derek, who stands tall in his tuxedo, playing the part he abandoned 19 years ago. His expression broadcasts pride he hasn't earned, claiming ownership of a moment that should have belonged to Alan, the man who drove through snowstorms to get her to dance recitals. Who built bookshelves for her first apartment, who sat outside rehab every visiting day, rain or shine. The efficient's voice cuts through my thoughts. Who gives this woman to be married? Derek's voice rings clear. Her mother and I do. A lie wrapped in ceremony. The words steal my breath. My hands grip the pew until my knuckles turn white. I watch as they take their positions, Derek kissing Tessa's cheek before joining his current wife in the front row. The empty space beside me feels vast and cold. I should be sitting with Alan, our fingers intertwined, sharing proud glances as the girl we raised together begins her new life. The ceremony blurs. I focus on breathing, on keeping tears at bay. This is not the moment to fall apart. The chapel erupts in applause as Ryan kisses his bride, and I join in mechanically, clapping for the daughter who couldn't find space for her true family on this day. Family photos on the chapel steps, the photographer calls out as guests mill about afterward. I stand at a distance, watching the choreography unfold. Bride's family first, she directs. Derek positions himself beside Tessa, his arm around her waist. His wife joins them, followed by Ryan's parents. I step forward, expecting my cue to join. Tessa glances my way, her smile faltering for just an instant. Mom, we'll do one with you after the main family photo. The main family photo. The words land like a physical blow. An elderly woman beside me whispers to her companion, "Isn't that her mother standing over there?" Tessa overhears. "Yeah," she says with a dismissive shrug. "Long story. Let's keep it simple today." Simple. As if erasing 19 years of sacrifice qualifies as simple. Something shifts inside me, a quiet, final reckoning. I've stood by while Tessa rewrote our history. I've transferred thousands for venue deposits and flowers, while being relegated to the margins of her story. I've smiled through planning sessions where Derek's brief phone calls were celebrated while Alan's years of devotion were scrubbed clean. This is the last time I let you erase me, I say, my voice low but steady. Tessa's eyes widened. Mom. I turn away, my heart hammering against my ribs. The photographer watches, confusion evident in her furrowed brow. I approach her, pulling out my phone. When you're finished, I'd like to show you something. She nods, professional but curious. I scroll to a photo taken 3 years ago, Alan helping Tessa move into her first apartment after college, both laughing as they navigate a couch through a narrow doorway. His face shows the mix of exasperation and love that defined his relationship with her. That's her stepfather, I explained quietly. He raised her from 13, helped her through rehab twice. This was her first place after college, when her biological father was nowhere to be found. Understanding dawns in the photographer's eyes. I get it now. I slip my phone back into my purse. Thank you for listening. The reception hall buzzes with celebration as I collect my wrap and handbag. I've made an appearance. I've witnessed Tessa's vows. My obligation is fulfilled. Outside, the October air feels clean in my lungs. My car sits alone in the near-empty parking area. Most guests arrive together for the ceremony and reception, like proper families do. The house is dark when I arrive home later, save for a single lamp burning in the living room window. Alan waits in his reading chair, a book open in his lap, though I doubt he's seen a single word. You're back early, he says softly. The careful composure I've maintained all day crumbles. My knees buckle. Alan crosses the room in 3 strides, catching me as I collapse against his chest. His familiar scent, laundry detergent, and the faint trace of woodshop wraps around me. I couldn't stay, I whisper through tears. She called it the main family photo, Alan, like I was an afterthought. His arms tighten around me. I feel the slight tremble in his body, his own hurt carefully contained for my sake. She'll learn someday what family really means, he says, his voice rough with emotion. I pull back, wiping tears with the back of my hand. I won't let this stand, I say. Not the lie of it. Alan cups my face between his hands. What will you do? Tell the truth. My voice strengthens with resolve. It's time Tessa faced reality, all of it. Next day, I arranged the photo albums in a semicircle on the coffee table. Each leather-bound volume told a chapter of our family story, the real one, not the airbrushed version Tessa had presented at her wedding. My fingers lingered on the most recent album, the one containing photos of Alan teaching Tessa to drive, Alan helping her move into her first apartment, Alan sitting stoically outside the rehab facility. The manila folder beside them contained the financial records: college tuition payments, rehab costs, wedding expenses, cold, hard numbers that couldn't be reimagined or dismissed. You don't have to do this, Alan said, placing a mug of tea on the side table. His eyes held a mixture of concern and resignation. I do. My voice came out steadier than I expected. For all of us. He nodded, understanding in the way only someone who's weathered storms alongside you can understand. I'll be at Tom's watching the game. Take all the time you need. The doorbell rang precisely at 3. Alan squeezed my shoulder before slipping out the back door, giving Tessa and me the privacy this conversation demanded. Tessa stood on the porch, shoulders rigid, arms crossed. Her wedding ring caught the afternoon light. She looked beautiful and defensive, a combination I'd seen countless times throughout her 26 years. Thanks for coming, I said, stepping aside to let her in. Her eyes immediately darted to the display on the coffee table. What's all this? Sit down, please. She perched on the edge of the sofa, as if ready to flee at the first sign of confrontation. The silver bangle on my wrist me mother's felt suddenly heavy. Would you like some tea? I asked. Just say whatever you need to say, Mom. I took the armchair opposite her, my hands folded in my lap to keep them from trembling. After everything I've done, why wasn't I family enough for one photo? Her eyes flickered away, focusing on the wall behind me. It wasn't about you. Then what was it about? I just wanted to imagine a perfect family the way it could have been. The words hung between us, sharp and untrue. No, I kept my voice soft but firm. You wanted a clean image, but love isn't tidy. I reached for the middle album, opening to a page I'd marked. Alan is sitting in a hospital waiting room, his face gray with exhaustion after Tessa's alcohol poisoning. The fluorescent lights caught the silver in his hair. Alan helped clean up the mess you want to forget. Tessa's fingers twisted in her lap. Ryan doesn't know. About your past? I finished for her. About the rehab stays? The relapses? A tear slipped down her cheek. She brushed it away quickly. Does Ryan know any of this? I asked, more gently. I didn't want him to know how broken I was. Her voice cracked on the word broken. I moved to sit beside her on the sofa, close but not touching. Love sees the breaks and loves anyway. That's what Alan did. The doorbell chimed again, the delivery I'd been expecting. I returned with a large package, the return address from the wedding photographer. Tessa's eyes widened. Your wedding album arrived today. I removed the cream-colored album from its protective wrapping. It was beautiful, bound in white leather with silver embossing. I opened it slowly, turning to the family section. Look, I said. Page after page of Derek standing proudly beside Tessa. Derek with Ryan's parents. Derek giving a toast. Derek walked her down the aisle. And the empty pages where mother of the bride photos should have been. A few distant shots of me sitting alone during the ceremony. Nothing more. Tessa's hand covered her mouth. I will always be your mother, I said, closing the album. But I deserve the truth. Not just for me, for you. Living inside a lie takes too much energy. Her shoulders shook with silent sobs. I'd like us to try family therapy before we move forward, I continued. And Alan's role needs to be acknowledged, not erased. He hates me now. Her voice was small, childlike. No, he's hurt. There's a difference. I placed my hand near hers on the sofa, not quite touching. Sometimes love means standing firm. The grandfather clock in the hallway ticked steadily, marking the seconds of silence between us. Outside, rain began to tap against the windows, a gentle percussion accompanying our painful symphony. Finally, Tessa nodded, a small movement so slight, I almost missed it. "I don't know how to fix this," she whispered. "We start with the truth," I said. "The rest follows." She reached for the hospital waiting room photo, studying Alan's exhausted face. "He never left," she said, as if realizing it for the first time. "No," I agreed. "He never did." The rain fell harder, washing the world outside clean, while inside, we sat surrounded by the evidence of a family's true history, messy, painful, and real. The evening air carries a hint of lilac as Alan and I sit on our back porch. 3 months since the wedding, 3 months of silence from Tessa. I rest my head against his shoulder, his familiar scent of cedar and coffee wrapping around me like a shield. "The hydrangeas are coming in nicely," he says, pointing to the corner of our garden where blue flowers unfurl against the fence he built last summer. "Your careful pruning paid off." I squeeze his hand. For once, we're talking about flowers instead of my daughter. Progress. My phone buzzes. I almost didn't check it. These quiet moments with Alan have become sacred after weeks spent rebuilding what Tessa's wedding nearly broke. But habit wins. The screen illuminates with a message that stops my breath. "Can we talk about family therapy?" 5 words from Tessa. 5 words that hang between hope and hurt. I wordlessly pass the phone to Alan. His hand trembles slightly as he reads. Our eyes meet, not in victory but possibility. The small nod we exchange carries 10 years of shared understanding. "What will you say?" His voice stays neutral, protecting himself from anticipation. "That I'll think about it." I take the phone back, set it face down on the table, and I will think about it. The wind chimes Alan hung when we first moved in tinkle softly, marking time in musical fragments. They played the same melody the evening Tessa came home from rehab, when Alan stood on this very porch waiting with a blanket because she always felt cold during recovery. "She's learning," he says finally. "That's something." Derek stopped calling her. The words spill out before I can catch them. Tessa's college roommate mentioned it last week how Derek returned to Australia shortly after the wedding, his promises to visit again already growing hollow. Alan's jaw tightens, but his voice stays gentle. History repeats. "I don't want to be right about him, and I don't. Being right means Tessa hurts again." "No," Alan agrees, "but better she sees the truth now than spends another decade chasing his approval." The porch swing creaks beneath us, the rhythm as familiar as my heartbeat. We've sat here through summer storms and winter snows, through Tessa's triumphs and relapses, through our own arguments and reconciliations. I miss her, I admit. The words scrape my throat like broken glass. I know. Alan doesn't offer platitudes or solutions, just presence. It's what he's always given, steady, undemanding presence, while the Walsh men of this world make grand entrances and swift exits. My phone buzzes again. Another message from Tessa. "Ryan thinks it would be good for us. All of us." I show Alan, watch the careful way he processes this information, how he guards his heart against another disappointment. "What do you think?" I ask him. "I think," he says slowly, "that truth takes time, but it always surfaces eventually." I compose a response, delete it, and try again. Finally settle on, "We can discuss it. Dinner next Tuesday?" The reply comes almost instantly. "Yes, thank you." No exclamation points, no heart emojis, just simple acknowledgement. It's not forgiveness or reconciliation, not yet, but it's a door cracked open after months of silence. Alan wraps his arm around my shoulders as twilight deepens. His warmth anchors me to this moment, to the life we've built together despite Tessa's attempt to erase it. "Whatever happens," he whispers against my hair, "we'll face it together." The first star appears overhead. I make a wish not for perfection or even understanding, but for honesty. The rest, I hope, will follow in its wake.